Hello, how are we doing? Well, I realize I've lost my music in setting this up. I set up a just chatting thing and have managed to lose my music. So I'm going to fix that now because that's frustrating. Yeah, let's do that. Background music is nice. Give me just 1 second. Let's do that. All right, let's try that again. We have music. Play music. Yo, little too loud. Just turn that down a smidge. Okay, well, it is Monday afternoon. Or certainly it is here in the UK. Like I said, I have only done one stream so far, other than a test I did, and that was on Friday, which went really well. I think, at least, I'm welcome, constructive criticism and the like. Um, and I had fun, and I had nothing I had to do this lunchtime, so I figured I would jump on board and do a quick little stream here, just to have a chat on how things are going. If you are about, please, 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 feel free to chip in the chat here. So what's going on with me? So a lot of my weekend was Baldur's Gate 3, as with for many people. So for those who were able to join me on Friday, Mac Baldur's Gate 3 was meant to launch on Thursday, Thursday afternoon. Oh, Thursday at some point, certainly. And then later the day, it got bumped to Friday. And so I had taken the day off of work on Friday to, mainly actually play that. And it didn't really happen because it didn't drop until about 5 p.m. In which case I was cooking and putting my 3-year-old to bed. And I thought, well, I'll settle down and play this. And I'll be honest, it did not go well. So there was teething issues with the Mac version that were very, very frustrating. So I don't know how much this is a result of my multi-screen setup and how much is just a general bug. I think it's a bit of both. So I have a laptop down here. I have a big screen up here where I usually have whatever I'm working on. I do have a little side one over here for referencing stuff or for music. So I thought, well, I want to play it on the big screen. And by default, I open on the little screen. So I shifted it over, made it full screen, sorted out resolution and stuff like that. It seemed to be going well. I then played about 15 minutes of stuff, and I had a bug where the mouse kept disappearing, which was very odd, especially on the main menu. Sometimes during dialogue, that was really, really frustrating. So I googled it. People said, well, change between Windows and full screen. So windowed, not Windows. Change between windowed mode and full screen, and that sometimes fixes it. So I tried that, and that's when we hit the issue. So what happened there was I ended up with a full screen version of the game on my big monitor, but the resolution was for that of something about 1.5 times the size of my monitor. So imagine, if you will, I had like the top 2/3, maybe half of the screen filling my screen, and I couldn't get to the rest of it. So I tried to window it, wouldn't let me do it. I couldn't get to the options menu from the home screen. Like literally, it said like a Baldur's Gate 3. And I had like continue, new, load, and then I couldn't get to options. And it didn't matter what I would have to try moving it between screens. I couldn't resize it because I couldn't get to the options screen. I couldn't change it to be windows, so I couldn't even just shrink the window to get it there. So this full screen thing that I could not change to windowed. Couldn't get to the options menu to change the resolution. And I spent about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, banging my head against the wall trying to fix this. I did manage to fix it, got it right, saved the settings, quit, reopened, and it defaulted back to it again. In which case, I got very sweary, threw my toys out of the pram. Understandably so, I think. And I went to bed. And that was very, very frustrating. And then picked up the following evening. I had a thought about how some ways to try and get around it. Because the issue with Steam is cloud syncs. So essentially, if you reinstall it, if you uninstall it and reinstall it, it brings it back exactly as it was. And it's very hard to try and manually delete a lot of the files, even if you turn off cloud sync and stuff like that. And it didn't seem to want to do it. I tried deleting everything I could, uninstalling it, reinstalling it, and still it maintained it. So what I ended up doing is there was a link in the Larian launcher to where some of the local files were. I did tweet about it afterwards, and where actually the config files were, so I was able to delete them, and then it worked. Touch wood, it has worked ever since. Though I then played an awful lot of it on Saturday evening and Sunday evening, and went to bed way too late considering the fact that I had work today. I've been at work this morning. And we'll be returning to work this afternoon. So I need more sleep. But I'm very much enjoying it. It is. Yeah, I was a little. Nothing worried, but I was kind of curious what the new Baldur's Gate was going to be like. Obviously, I've seen reviews, people loving it, loving the characters and all of that. But I was kind of curious what the experience was going to be like here. Was it going to feel similar to recent Dragon Ages and the like? Or was it going to be more kind of top-down? You know, I didn't know. And I've enjoyed it so far. You know, the experience of navigating the world has been good. Again, a Mac bug that was, well, not a bug, but a frustration. By default, you rotate the camera with the third mouse button is how it's set up. Now I use a Magic Mouse from my desktop Mac. I use a MacBook Pro. So it's very difficult to get at the middle mouse button on this one. And essentially what was happening is every time I moved the mouse or clicked anything, it thought it was a camera move. So I had about 10 minutes of sheer frustration again of trying to... So you start off, without spoilers, you start off in that starting area on the ship. And I was just trying to click around and get used to the interface. And every time I clicked anywhere, the camera swung around by like 180 degrees. I had a moment of, what am I doing here? Is this me? Have I reached some horrible stage where I'm now out of touch with how you play this sort of game, that everything that seems natural in how you move and navigate and change the camera around in a game is not working anymore? And that was a small panic. And then I realized, no, there's something going on here. So I found the setting and I just switched off. So I've got no mouse motion for moving the camera. I'm just doing it with WASD and Q and E. And I've switched Q and E. That was not obvious to me, the rotating the camera with that. But now I'm enjoying it. That's being a good experience there. What I wasn't expecting, what I wasn't expecting, which was silly, was quite how D&D-ish this D&D game is. And of course, I'd seen screenshots of people doing skill checks and dice popping up. But for some reason in my head, I hadn't tweaked that it was going to be turn-based. So that was nice. I had this fear that it was going to be a really pure D&D implementation, but real time like the original Baldur's Gates. And that, how are you going to manage that? Is there going to be an awful lot of automatic application of skills? And was there going to be something where, by default they do an attack and occasionally use a thing, which has always frustrated me about when replaying the original Baldur's Gates and Icewind Dales and the like, is that if you use a script, it uses up like all your abilities so quickly, and I like to micromanage using abilities, especially if you're doing long slots before a rest. So I was worried about that, but actually the fact it's turn-based is really nice. I'm still not quite sure where some of the weapon abilities come from. I need to look into that, because obviously you get all these flourishes and charging this and hamstringing and that. I never played it, but that sounds like 4th edition to me, having those kind of innate, you're using this weapon and therefore you can do these kind of cool abilities. Now, I'm enjoying those cool abilities. Do not get me wrong. I'm very, very much enjoying those cool abilities. But I wasn't expecting them. But it's nice, it's nice having that flexibility on stuff. So that is being an awful lot of fun. In terms of character, my original plan, because I'm uncreative, when I was jumping around on characters to play, I was considering playing either a range of characters I've either had as tabletop original characters or NPCs that I was quite fond of that I've running campaigns. So I was originally going to play a ranger, a half-orc ranger, Baldur, who was a character in a campaign I ran a while back. It was quite cool. And then I thought, I probably want to have a bit of rogue in there as well, so I was maybe going to go ranger rogue. Started the character generation, and I think most of them didn't match what I thought she would look like. Obviously, the models for half-orcs quite heavy on the tusks, which is cool. It's a really nice look, and it's nice that they're not just green humans. But I was very tired when I was creating that character, and I thought, this doesn't quite look what I thought. Let's try something else for now, just because I was tired. And at this stage, the frustration with the Mac configuration was starting to kick in. So I then considered making Yen, who was a halfling monk, who I played for a little while in a campaign. And that's my first stab at Baldur's Gate 3 on that first night. I was playing that character. I got a little way into it. And while the next day I was thinking about how to fix the issues, I just started thinking around, is it the character I want to play? What the dynamics going to be like? And I was talking about this on Friday, I don't want to metagame this. Obviously, there's been so much out there in terms of what's in this game, what people are enjoying. And I know, broadly speaking, what all the NPCs were going to be in advance. Or certainly a lot of them, just because, people are simping them and doing various fan art based on them. So I kind of knew what they were going to be like, and I had a notion of what their classes were. And I kind of knew that I wanted to have maybe Lae'zel or maybe Karlach in my party. And I thought if I was playing a monk as well, I was then going quite hand-to-hand heavy, and I didn't want to limit my options too much. So for whatever reason, a numerous number of reasons, I changed my mind today, and I ended up creating a character called Morton, who I ended up running briefly in Tomb of Annihilation, which I ran with some very fine folk. For a little while. We didn't get to the end of Tomb of Annihilation. I think there was a lot of burnout on all parties on running that one. So he is a paladin rogue. So I started off just rogue and then a multi-class to paladin. And I'll probably end up being more paladin than rogue on this one, but it gives you a really good hand-to-hand fight. You get all the coolness of sneak attacks and a bit of smites in there as well, which is very nice from a mechanics, combat kind of way. But also, all of that you get quite a high charisma, expertise in persuasion character, which is good. I roleplayed him as a very kind of smooth operator. He was a kind of roguish scoundrel type who got what's the word? It's escaping me. Kind of press ganged into joining a paladin order. So he's an oath of vengeance. He's actually out to get revenge. In the original backstory I had from him, he was getting revenge on the person who kidnapped his daughter. So I've got this kind of oath of vengeance. He was a swashbuckler, was his rogue class. We don't have swashbuckler at all / yet. Don't know if there'll be DLC in Baldur's Gate 3. But that's what he was. So I'm playing him now, and he's that kind of scoundrelish side of paladin, and I'm having an awful lot of fun. The characters so far are very, very enjoyable. I was kind of surprised by how many NPCs get thrown at you quite quickly, and that's something that's, I think, a result of. Fleshing out characters. For those who have played Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, and now Baldur's Gate 3, there's definitely a progression in terms of number of characters, number of companions, and how fleshed out they are. So if you play Baldur's Gate 1, just the kind of vanilla Baldur's Gate 1, unmodded, unenhanced, you encounter a lot of NPCs. And they are scattered about the map in places you won't necessarily go. And they don't have a lot of personality at all. They have some dialogues, but there wasn't a banter system back then when they just randomly started chatting. There wasn't a romance system where you could get to know them, or even a friendship system where you could get to know them. So they had a little bit of character in some of their interactions, interjecting into dialogues, but not a lot. And, you know, I used to do Baldur's Gate modding back in the day, a very, very long time ago now, kind of early university years. And there were characters there that people were huge fans of. Like, oh, I really love Koran, I really love Koran. And it's like, I never even met him. Which portrait is he again? Because if you don't go a particular way, you won't bump into him. And so that's what Baldur's Gate 1 was. So many, I want to say about 15 NPCs. Very little personality. Not a lot of meat on the bone. And obviously back then they were just kind of, I forget the templates, but there were tiny little kind of avatars on screen with just different colours on them. They had a portrait, but it wasn't a detailed 3D model like you see nowadays. So a lot of NPCs kind of look the same, it's just different portraits, different voice sets. Good voice acting though, really good voice acting in Baldur's Gate 1. Baldur's Gate 2 refined that a bit. You had fewer NPCs. They did have banter, so you got to know them a lot more. You had the romance element, you had friendship elements, you had you got to know them an awful lot better. They were scattered in places where it was nigh on impossible to miss an NPC unless you fundamentally didn't do a big quest. And I can't remember, there were about 6 really big quests that you could do. Unless you missed one of the fundamental quests of the game, then you would encounter every single NPC along the way. Like, right near the start, you know, if you can do the Darnice hold and clear the trolls out of the castle, you will meet Nally the Darnice. You know, if you immediately come out and wander straight into the giant circus tent, you will meet Aerie. So it was very difficult to miss NPCs in Baldur's Gate 2, and most of them had some good personality there. And again, fantastic voice acting. Baldur's Gate 3 now, we are now into the kind of Dragon Age territory for the most part. So everyone's got a 3D model, and my God, so they look good. You know, the animation and the character design is just wonderful, and things like the lip sync and the voice acting is just top notch. But because of the amount that's going on there, you know, there is a much smaller range of characters. Now, there's still, I think, more than I think there are, because, you know, what's advertised are the Origins characters, like the 6 or so big heavy hitters. But I know that there's, you know, like Minsk and Jaheira are in here, and you can meet them. And I think there are others as well, you know. I don't want spoilers, so please don't spoil it for me, but in the main press, you don't have the druid guy, the guy who does turn into a bear. Yes, I've seen that clip. But you don't have him in there. But I understand that he is a companion that can join you. So I think there's more companions than I think there are, but still, they are far fewer than you had in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. So, and they really do throw them at you very, very quickly. Like, in the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I, you know, ran into, you know, again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but, you know, very quickly I was at the stage where, especially because you only have 4 people with you at any one time, where my party was overflowing and I was making decisions about who I had to keep. Whereas back in the olden days it was 6, and actually you had to go quite a while before you had a 7th person, and then you had to make a decision about who we were gonna keep or lose. That's something I found a little interesting on this one. Dragon Age, there aren't that many classes. You know, fundamentally there's kind of 3, aren't there? So if you're having a party of 4 people, is it 4 or 3 in Dragon Age? I should know this. It's 4. Then you essentially can have one of each and an extra one, and you maybe got some who are spec into melee and some who are more ranged and stuff like that. But here you've got so many classes, some different personalities, that actually narrowing it down to 4, you have to be a little bit metagamey in that one, because you have to go, ooh, I need a rogue. I need someone who's going to use thieves' tools. That broadly means you need, sorry, spoiler, you need a Starian, or you need to be a rogue yourself, or you need to respect someone. Or I think there might be hirelings. I don't know. Oh God, he falls off his chair. You're very graceful. So that limits your options. Then you go, oh, I've got my rogue now. Oh, I probably need a healer. And then I probably need some offensive magic. And I need a fighter. Well, that's 4. That's 4 already. And then you go into multi-classing and go, oh, I want to use a bit of this and a bit of that. So, so do I maybe go with Will, who can do a bit of fighting and some spell casting? It does narrow your options on this one. So, and I am feeling that already, which, while I like the tightness of having 4 people, it's one thing that irks me a little bit is you have to be a bit tactically micromanagey with your party dynamics. Because I think really you want to be able to play the game and have the people in your party you want to have with you. I know you can talk to everyone at the camp, which is great. I do not want to knock that for a second because that is really nice. But I think you want to have the party traveling with you who are the people, the characters that you want to have traveling with you. But also you need to have the people who tactically can do well in a fight. And hopefully that Venn diagram is a perfect circle. That you get exactly the people you want to have with you from a character point of view, and you want to see their interactions with all the random people you meet along the way, but also is a really good squad for doing fights. And I'm getting there. Currently I have Morton, who, as I said, is my Ranger Paladin. I have Lae'zel, who's doing hand-to-hand. I have Shadowheart, who's doing healing. And I have Will, who's doing a bit of fighting and a bit of magic. When I get Karlach, she will probably replace Lae'zel. But I kind of got a dynamic I like. The interactions are quite good. And they seem to, unless I've just stumbled into it, they seem to have good interactions between those characters. It's not just like, oh, these two have nothing to talk about, and therefore they have the most generic banter everywhere. They seem to have done a good job of going, oh, that person has a conflict or an interesting relationship with that person. So in that sense, it works. But it's that whole, when I was originally thinking what character I was going to play, I kind of stumbled into I really do have to play a rogue here. Because I'd heard that people either love or hate Astarion, that he's kind of this Marmite character. And especially because I'm not intending to romance Astarion, it was do I want Astarion or not? It's like, he sounds fun, I think, and actually I have quite enjoyed the conversations I've had with him so far. But I think other people sound more interesting. So I made a decision, well, I'll be a rogue, he won't be the rogue in my party, and then I've got space for other things. Presumably, I would like to return to the Yen character I played before. I said that was my halfling monk. I would probably have a Astarion, so a rogue, and then that will change the dynamics of my party when I play through like that. I'm curious on the Guardian thing. That was odd. When you create your character, you have to choose a Guardian. It tells you nothing about what they do and how they influence everything. I wondered if they were going to be like a lieutenant. So for a minute I was like, whoa, I know you have 4 people. Is it my PC and a lieutenant and then only 2 interesting characters? That can't be right. And I've seen no hide or hair of them so far. So again, no spoilers. And I'm kind of curious what that's going to be about. But we shall see. And this may be a terrible decision, this one, but because I ended up playing Morton, an existing character I'd created, I made his Guardian an orc, or half-orc technically, who in that character's backstory was his wife who had died. So that seemed to be thematically for their Guardian an interesting thing. It might have been a terrible decision when I see how maybe I find out, oh yeah, yes, this Guardian you selected is actually their tormentor, who torments him the whole way through and actually turns out to be the big bad of the entire thing. Maybe in that sense it's a terrible decision from the backstory that I originally had for this character. But so far it seems to be a good decision, I think. But then again, I've not seen them yet. I don't know where they go into this. So that's been interesting, and I'm very much enjoying it. I wish I had more time to play it. My as I said, my daughter is 3, so she wonderfully takes up a huge amount of my time. So I can only really game in the evenings once she's gone to bed. Um, uh, Game during the day. But I would have a problem with that. I'm not going to play video games at the expense of playing with my child. So yeah, I only get to play in the evenings, which means it's so immersive. It really does suck you in. So it's I've started playing at 8, 9 o'clock, and then oh crap, it's going on 1 o'clock. This isn't good. I need to get some sleep because I need to be up at like 7. So that's not good. I kind of knew this was going to happen though. I had a similar experience though. My kid wasn't born yet when I played Stellaris for the first time. Stellaris scratched that Masters of Orion 2 itch, but is what happened at the time. I think people reference Civilization for that one. As in you start playing a game of Civ and suddenly, it's not only has sunset passed, but sunrise is on its way. So no, I'm very, very much enjoying Baldur's Gate 3. I'm looking forward to what it's going to throw at me yet. Yeah, good fun. Good fun. So that's a big update. In terms of other stuff going on, not a huge amount to report, to be honest. I mean, it is Monday. My job is. It's nothing sinister, but don't like blurring the lines. But so I came into quite a few emails because, as I said, I was off on Friday, so I was wading through them. A few meetings, juggling various bits and pieces. Fortunately, nothing that impinged on my lunch hour, which is nice. Let's touch wood. I don't believe I have anything awful this afternoon. So it should be relatively low key, which is nice. And this evening, we'll see probably more Baldur's Gate 3. What I don't want to do, I don't want to sacrifice writing at the expense of playing Baldur's Gate 3. Because I very much enjoy both. And actually, now I've got back into the swing of doing some writing, which I was actually streaming on Friday's stream. That was wonderful. I spent the whole morning doing streamed writing, which was brilliant. I want to keep going with what I was working on for Little But Fierce. And especially because Baldur's Gate it just pops so many ideas up of, it'd be interesting to do something like this. And because I'm not playing any D&D right now, I'm not running any games, I'm not playing any games, it scratches that D&D itch that just sparks the imagination. I steal from everywhere in terms of, I think every writer does. You steal little bits of ideas from here and there and then you mash them together in your head. And a lot of that comes from D&D, but also films. I'm not watching any films right now. Again, having a 3-year-old means you don't get a huge amount of evenings. And the idea of sitting down for a 2-3 hour film, it sounds fun, but I know for a fact that by halfway through I will be very, very tired and I will potentially not be paying attention as well as I should be, especially when there's things I want to see. Like I've got a backlog of films. Like I've got some Marvel films I've not seen yet. I've not seen the second Avatar film. I've even seen things like, going back a while, like Tenet, which I understand is very difficult to hear, so I'm going to need subtitles for that one. But that was a while ago now. That was during the peak of the pandemic. That came out. I've not watched that yet. So this backlog of films that I really do need to, get into. I know that right now, I don't know when it's going to change, I'm not going to be able to sit down and enjoy a film and give it all the attention I want to give it, which is a shame because I'm something of a cinephile. So, I do want to watch this stuff. And equally, I don't want to split it in two. And I suppose I could, but it breaks the immersion. I used to do that a bit with my previous job because I was based in Edinburgh, but I had to relatively frequently, I had to fly down to London just for the day. And I wouldn't normally fly just for a day. It's not great for the environment at all. But the alternative would be, it takes about 5 hours plus, especially from I wasn't actually in Edinburgh, I was in Falkirk, which is a little way out from Edinburgh. It takes 5 hours plus to take the train. So essentially, I'd have to be doing lots of overnights. So if I was going to be there and back in a day, it had to be flying really. And what I would do if I was flying, I'd probably watch half a film on the flight down and then half a film on the flight back. So I did watch a few films for the first time that way, which wasn't great, but I had the time, so it was nice to use it in that way. It is very quiet out there. If you are not a bot, do feel free to say hello. It would be nice to interact with people, frankly. But if you're just lurking, so be it. Lurk away. It's fine. No offense taken. If you're a bot, we don't need to address you because you're not actually responding to anything I'm doing. Unless you are so sophisticated that you're reading the captions, which I did set up after the last one. Tanya DePass shared a link last night or this morning, can't remember, to a plugin for OBS that does automatic captioning, which is very, very nice. And I believe if you're watching this, you'll actually get the CC button to show the live captions of me talking. So I immediately put that on this morning because accessibility is incredibly important. So it is vital. You know, while I'm still finding my feet with this whole streaming malarkey, I think it's really important to have captioning on there. So even though I may not have a nice, pretty interface in terms of how all this stuff looks beyond, you know, my logo down in the bottom, you know, yeah, here-ish. It's not even a logo, it's a website address. I thought it was really important to get the closed captioning on straight away because it was accessibility. Hello, Bobicus, or Bobicious, however you want to pronounce it. How are you doing on this relatively sunny Monday afternoon? Bobicus, there we go. Bobicus Decimus Meridius. Soft C makes me sad. Fair enough, so noted. How's your day going? $5 a.m. where you're at. I'm trying to figure out where that puts you. Is that are you in the States somewhere? I'm guessing. And it's is that 5 a.m. staying up or 5 a.m. just got up? Both are entirely possible in geeky communities. I'm guessing just got up. Staying up. Good grief. I used to be able to do that. I flag nowadays. I just can't do it. I remember my wife and I, we went to the States for our honeymoon a few years back. Fair enough, fair enough. If you don't have work, why should it matter? Be your own time zone. It is absolutely fine. But yeah, when my wife and I went to the States for our honeymoon, we actually went to Florida, which was fun, but I would not go back to Florida now because politics. Yeah, do not like the way things are going there. Try not to get too political. That's a lie. I don't know why I just said that. I get very political on social media. But no, I'm worried about stuff going on there. But anyway, the point I was trying to make on this one is staying up and stuff like that. When we flew back, it was the whole time zone jet lag thing, and I was like, right, I'm going to stay up. You know, we got back the equivalent of I think 7 a.m, having skipped the night. And then I was like, right, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to see this through. I'm going to make this through the day. And then I'm just going to, maybe I'll get slightly earlier night, but then I'll reset my clock and I'll be absolutely fine. And I sat down to do something. And by 9 o'clock, I was like, nope, can't do this. Body is incapable of this. I'm having a nap. And it took me a couple of days to get back. Absolutely. Yeah. When I was streaming on Friday, I was doing design work for Little But Fierce, my 5th edition rewrite for kids. So I've just been talking about the fact that I'm going to try and do streaming in the evenings. Not every evening, because that's crazy. But I was talking about the fact that I actually did manage to play Baldur's Gate 3 over the weekend, which was wonderful. After some horrendous teething issues on Friday with technical stuff with my Mac. Which shouldn't happen, because it was very fully supported and it's a new Mac, so it should have been fine. Some horrible teething issues. I did manage to spend the weekend playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and I will definitely be playing a lot of that in some evenings. I probably won't stream it. I may change my mind, or certainly not for my first playthrough. My second playthrough, when I eventually get to a second playthrough, because I'm sure I will. I probably will stream some of that. But obviously streaming is kind of performing. So you've got to be very aware of your audience. And I think I would be pulled out of the experience of first playing the game, especially an immersive game, like a role-playing game, by having to perform and narrate and, all that at the same time. I may change my mind on that one. But I would find that kind of weird, and I would probably enjoy the game less because I've got to respond to an audience while I do it. So I probably won't stream Baldur's Gate 3, but I do want to still be doing streaming writing in the evenings, and because Baldur's Gate 3 is, as I was saying, is my first D&D for a while, because of parenting, then actually it scratches the itch and is sparking the imagination. So actually my enjoyment of BG3, I want that to fuel my writing. So I'm going to try and maybe alternate, or I'll spend an hour stream writing and then play some Baldur's Gate 3 afterwards. We'll see. So a few things going on. My own RPG, the Cozy Witch RPG. Yes, I'm still very, very interested in that. Job search. Well, I hope that goes well. Job search is always a horrendous thing to have to do. I had to do that a little while back, and my wife had to as well. And then we moved house. We actually, this is our second house we've owned. So the first time we bought a new build, and that was painful. There was a lot going on. And then this time was selling a house and buying a house, and then moving from Scotland to England. So that was, I'd heard people say, "Oh yeah, getting a job is the second hardest thing. Hardest thing. Second hardest is moving house, and first hardest is divorce." Hopefully not going anywhere near that first one. But it's like, job searching is bad. How bad can moving house be? Oh, it's awful. But so you have my sympathies on that one. And what are you saying? Fancy mech idea for NaNoWriMo. That's cool. Oh, you are looking at my games. Yes. It's slightly out of focus. Small World. Small World is very, very fun. I've not had a chance to play that for a little while, but I think one of the first, kind of proper board games that I bought, and that was The Fault of Will Wheaton's Tabletop, as I think it was for an awful lot of people. It's a great game. It really is. And one of the better iPad versions. A lot of board games have video game adaptations, some for tablets, and sometimes they're great. Sometimes it's just like, this is a bit clunkier, but I guess you can play it. But Small World is one of those ones where it's like really nice, really, really good on the iPad because it does the maths for you. So if you're going, oh, where can I move? It's showing me where I can move. And if you start to drag over a certain tile, it will tell you how many people you need in order to conquer that. So that is really, really nice. The other ones that are particularly nice for app versions are Carcassonne. I've always liked that. That's very, very good. And Lords of Waterdeep, which is a wonderful, wonderful game. If you've not played Lords of Waterdeep, I strongly recommend it. A resource management and meeple placing game of a D&D theme, but at a kind of a macro level. So very much enjoying that. I recognise Quirkle too. Quirkle's great. I've not played that. I've not played that for a few years, but that was. I got my mum hooked on Quirkle. There are some games. When my parents visit, I try and play board games with them, and they have generally game for a lot of games I've got. But Quirkle was one they my mum said really, really enjoyed. My parents are divorced. I think my dad did enjoy it, but my mum really, really liked Quirkle. What I like about the fantasy mech edit, it's only been done by one anime. All other anime are sci-fi. Yeah, mechs are a nice concept. There is something very fun about it, especially the fantasy vibe. I've thought that before. Every time I see a picture, I see fan art of kind of Baba Yaga's chicken-legged hut, something in my head goes, there should be more of this. I want more buildings atop animal legs as a theme in a game, or giant animals, I think would be fun as well. I think if you were, whether you're small or just they're big, you know, whether it's gnomes riding things, or I don't know, I think there'd be something funny about playing characters in a world where a cat, like a house cat, is the size of a horse. And that means that, like, a dog is even bigger still. And when you get to, like, you know, cows are something you could build a house on the back. You know, I think, you know, birds, you know, you could ride and stuff. I think there'd be something fun there. And weirdly, this actually links to an odd thought. I do need to wrap this up in a second because I need to go back to work in about 5 minutes. I had a thought over the weekend, and I think it's slightly sparked by a board game. If you're aware of Smash Up, Smash Up's a good game. I don't have it, but essentially you have decks of cards, each with a theme, like ninjas and wizards and stuff like that. And the notion at the start of the game is you pick 2 decks and you mash them together. You shuffle them together, and then you play, in that case, Ninja Wizards. So each game you have a different combination of 2 factions, which makes a unique faction you're going to play in this game, which is very, very fun. 2 of them are popular ones, which are Dinosaurs and Pirates. So my brain went to, randomly, I don't even know why I went to this train of thought of, you know, what would Dinosaurs and Pirates be like together? Now, the obvious first one is Dinosaur Pirates, and fun as a Velociraptor in a tricorn hat would be. I then went to the next thought, which was actually, what if, and it takes a little leap with me on this one, and it links that mecha idea of, what if you had pirate ships on the back of dinosaurs? There is an 80s cartoon based off of a toy series called Dino Riders, which, if you're not aware of it, brilliant toy concepts, was a pretty good cartoon series, though short-lived. And essentially that was sci-fi characters, including aliens, sent back in time to the dinosaur age. They then build essentially battlements and, you know, lasers and stuff like that on the back of dinosaurs. So you had cool small ones, which were like people riding velociraptors like a horse with lasers on the side. And then you had the big toys for, like, you know, a Brachiosaurus and a T-Rex and stuff like that with battlements and a thing on its head and guns and stuff. It was, I mean, it looked fantastic. Perfect 80s toy. It really was. But my mind went to, what if you had pirates building ships on the back of dinosaurs? So if you take that kind of Brachiosaurus idea, what if on the back of like a Brachiosaurus or a Panthosaurus maybe, you had something with the aesthetic of a pirate ship? Obviously you don't need to sail on it, though. You probably have a crow's nest to look down from it, and then cannons out the side, and that kind of old worldy wooden Age of Sail gunpowder kind of theme. I've no idea how or why this would happen, but it struck me as a very cool aesthetic, which is pirates on the back of dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I can draw to a degree. I can draw still life. I can't draw from my own imagination terribly well. If I could draw from my imagination better, I would totally draw that, because I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, if only to scratch a cool itch. Anywho, on that note, it is almost 1:15, so I unfortunately do need to go back to work. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you anyone else who may be lurking in the background. It is very much appreciated, you being here. As I said, I will be streaming some evenings. I need to figure out a schedule, or I might just be winging it for the time being until I fall into a rhythm. But I'm going to try and do these lunchtime ones as well, because it's nice to just kind of join, have a chat, and take the conversation where it may. So thank you, Bobicus, and anyone else who may be quietly lurking and listening. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye.